My guest today is Lark Davis. Lark is a cryptocurrency investor, strategist, influencer, a man of many hats. Welcome to the show, Lark.
Thanks for having me. Excited to talk to you.
Excited to talk to you, Lark. Yeah, it's interesting times, really. I guess I've known who you are for some time because you're one of these guys that has a reasonably high profile on crypto Twitter. And funnily enough, we're both, of course, based in New Zealand. So, yeah, it's kind of strange that I guess we've never crossed paths or had you on the show before, but we rectify that today.
It's tough. I don't get out to meetings a lot in the crypto space. There's not as much going on here in Wellington as there's probably going on up in Auckland. But with two little kids, I don't get out very much in the evening anymore. So crypto meetups are kind of off the table for a bit.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. Well, that's why we can do this online and podcast format. So let's do what we do at the beginning of the show. Like, it'd be great if, for the benefit of people who maybe are less familiar with you, or even people who are familiar with you, it'd be good, like, if you could introduce yourself and maybe just share a little bit of your personal and professional story, particularly, I suppose, what you were doing in the lead up to becoming the crypto influencer that you are today. What kind of brought you to here?
Yeah, sure. So I've been creating content in the cryptocurrency space full time since 2017, and it's been a wild journey, an incredible journey, and a very challenging one at times. Starting creating content, quitting my full-time job in November 2017 and going full-time crypto seemed like a great decision for 2 or 3 months. And then February, March 2018, I started questioning life. Why am I doing this? But it was a great decision, even though 2018 was a tough time business-wise to survive. It was a great decision in hindsight. This is an incredible industry and I absolutely love working in it. Now, my journey into actually getting started with creating crypto content, it actually started back in the day on something called the Steam blockchain. I'm not even sure if they're around anymore, but this was a social network back in the day. It's so funny. I always say that no ideas are really new in crypto. Everyone's talking about social fi nowadays. Yeah, we were doing that back in 2017 too. But I started posting content over there because that's a really cool concept. I can post stuff there. Maybe I get a few likes and I get a few bucks out of that, and that's fantastic. And those posts over there started doing quite well regarding crypto content, of course. And so I started posting more crypto content. Eventually, I started thinking, wow, it's taking a long time to write all these posts out. I'm just going to make a YouTube video and then I'll post it over here with my thoughts. And then the YouTube videos started taking off. And so I didn't actually come into this with the idea that, okay, I'm going to become some big content creator, some big influencer in the space. It more just grew organically out of my journey into crypto, starting investing, sharing that investing journey, sharing my opinions on stuff that I'm looking at in the market as I invest in new coins and all these sorts of things. And that sort of spawned what later became a big business through my newsletter, my courses, and the different things that we do on the channel, whether it be investing opportunities or sponsorship opportunities and affiliate marketing, stuff like that. It's quite a large business these days. But it started off just very simply as me with my camera, a very bad microphone, a very bad camera, making content online and having a lot of fun doing it. And I still have a lot of fun doing it. It's just we've changed the quality and the sort of structure of how things work. But it's an incredible industry to be operating in, without a doubt.
Yeah, it certainly is. And funnily enough, Lark, I think you've described me. Here I am with my not so flash microphone and camera and laptop. Don't have the full professional setup, but that's okay. So I think, today it'd be fun, Lark, just to kind of get some insights into, what it is like to actually have this kind of, public facing role in what is a notoriously, volatile industry and the kind of the ups and downs that
Mm-hmm.
come with that. And perhaps also get some of your insights, maybe particularly for people that are listening to this and maybe are just coming into crypto for the first time, because I know you have some good thoughts to share there as well. And maybe just kind of, yeah, we'll talk about your investing strategy as well, because I think you're probably reasonably active, a degen, if you like. So I don't know, where should we start? I think, let's start in terms of just how you think about your role, because for me, it always looks quite difficult if you are a high profile person in crypto, because you have to take the good with the bad. People come across with, well, people get hit with a lot of criticism if you're a public facing person. So how do you kind of deal with, I guess, the responsibility of trying to be a professional, sane voice, but kind of not get people too excited? You don't want to bring too much FOMO. it's a tough line to balance.
It is. It absolutely is. And look, the content's changed over the years because of that. The content I could make when I had 50,000 subscribers is very different from the content I can make now, right? You're talking to different audiences and stuff like this. And as an investor and as a content creator, I've matured a lot over time as well. But there's no rule book, unfortunately. It'd be great if there was. Crypto Influencer 101. That'd be a great book to read. Unfortunately, there's not. There's no such thing. And so you learn a lot as you go, and you will face a lot of criticism. You'll make mistakes. I've made mistakes in my journey as a content creator, as an investor. I mean, investing mistakes and content creation mistakes are different, but often aligned. So there's been a lot of things. And it's a tricky space to navigate without a doubt, because it's hard to share honest criticisms of things, because you're talking about somebody's bags and they're going to get very unhappy about you sharing any kind of criticisms about their bags because they want the price to go up, obviously. So those kind of things are hard. Disclosures are absolutely a necessity, and it's something I used to not take as seriously as I needed to. And now I'm super, super serious about making sure everything is always 100% disclosed. Obviously, any sort of sponsorship deals and stuff, I've always been super transparent about those. But in terms of like conflicts of interest, like am I an investor in something? I always make sure 100% people know that. So I've got those, my portfolio and all this stuff posted all over the place so that people can always know 100% what I've got, what my conflicts of interest are. And these things are really, really important for everybody to know. And as you get bigger and bigger and bigger, and you have more influence over things, your responsibility as an influencer becomes even more apparent. I may not move the price of Bitcoin with a tweet, but other things potentially, yes. And that's a very strong responsibility to have in terms of my own investments, and of course, also in how people receive the information. So my focus in this market cycle has definitely been on teaching people to fish versus giving people fish, essentially, because those skills are much more valuable. And giving people hints about what the latest hottest thing is. We talk about the latest hottest things, obviously, what's trending, what's not trending, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But that information has to be delivered in a certain way so that I'm sure that people are really thinking about things and going out and making their own decisions versus, oh, Lark talked about something for 30 seconds in a video, so now I'm going to take my life savings and put it into it, because people do, unfortunately. And it's a tricky thing being a content creator, because people don't always hear what you say. They might have listened to the words come out of your mouth, but then they create their own story. Well, you said this, that, and the other thing. Well, not actually, but so it's really tricky. You'll get misinterpreted, you'll get criticized, you'll be attacked, and it's all worth it, because I think it's just a fantastic industry. And while there's outliers in terms of those sorts of things happening, the vast majority of people are super great. I love my community. I love working with the people that I work with in this industry. I love being an investor in this industry. I love every day coming and there's something new and exciting happening, and people are excited about it, especially now. Less so a year and a half ago, but people are very excited now, and people are loving what's going on, and it's just a great space to be.
Yeah, really well said. And look, not to dwell on it, Lark, but it does remind me of, I guess the main character meme, right? You don't want to be the guy that becomes the main character, the kind of the flavor of the month, or really famous for one particular narrative, because as soon as that narrative goes against you, or you make a really big call, you get one right, and then you make another big call and it goes against you, then it can be very hard to come back from that. And look, I can think of, I'm sure you can as well, Lark, even going back to 2017, which, by Bitcoin OG standards is not particularly old school, but I think by 2024 crypto market standards, 2017, it kind of is OG now. And I'm sure you've seen so many main characters, people that have come and gone. They've suddenly come from nowhere, zero to hero in terms of crypto Twitter status and followers. But for you to still be here, 7 years later, 8 years later, I think that's testament to, as you've talked about, you kind of grow into the role, but you do have to work at it every day, and your reputation is something that you do have to protect.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You don't want to be the main character, guys. That's absolutely true. Look, and one of the things I think people get in trouble with in terms of becoming the main character, now talk about the big founders, right? They become main characters for different reasons, but try not to be too inflexible. Inflexible opinions can be quite hot at certain times. Like there's this guy who's been just nonstop shorting everything as the market just keeps going higher and higher and higher and higher and higher, still calling for 12K. The market's almost about to go into a major
Capo,
bear
yes.
market. And your identity is built around something instead of just saying, guys, I was wrong. I screwed up 100% ago. Hey, let's change our bias. And it can be it's hard when you have all these people that are looking at you and your identity starts to become linked to having certain opinions. Not great as an investor. Maybe it works getting engagement as an influencer, but as an investor, which is really one of my primary roles here, the content creation's a passion and a business, and I love it. The investments, I always have to remember I have to nurture those. And when you start making opinions online that are going to be hard to retract later, you screw up your own investments as well as the people who are coming to you for insights into the market. So you have to be flexible, you have to be fluid in these markets. Things can change so fast.
They absolutely can. All right. Well, look, let's switch to the markets a little bit then. Lark, where should we begin? Maybe to begin with, love to just understand how you would describe your approach to investing or trading. Are you an investor? Are you a trader? I'm sure you do a little bit of both. How fast are you moving in and out of positions? Yeah, just any way you want to approach this. What's your approach to crypto?
Sure. I primarily approach the market as an investor with various opportunities and strategies. I do a little bit of trading. That's sort of, if we look at the 80-20, right? The trading is more on the 20 side. Whenever I see a good opportunity or something, I might throw some money into that. But generally, I'm looking at investing side of things. I'm looking at private market, public market, airdrop farming, and DeFi farming. All these sorts of things I think are great value opportunities. Private market, of course, is not something that's readily accessible for the average person. We do have great launch pads that are coming out that allow people to get earlier access to some of these tokens. So those are interesting opportunities for the investors who want to put in the work to try to get positions in those. Public market stuff, there's been so many crazy opportunities. One of the interesting things I've seen with the market is that you had a lot of stuff coming out of the bear market. The teams that didn't die, that didn't run out of money, have come out stronger than ever. And now most of the private round investors are out. Some of these things were at ICO price or just above during the bear markets, or even as much as recently, some of these things have been there. And so there's been a lot of opportunities for just regular investors coming to the space to get great opportunities in the market. So I focus a lot of my attention on these longer term plays in the market, riding the cycle versus trying to ride the intraday trading stuff. That's too stressful for me. I don't like it so much. And I know that if I can ride the cycle, there's so much money to be made without the stress of getting chopped up all the time and moving in and out of different trades. And I've full hats off respect to the traders who have the time and energy and interest, because it's not interesting for me to stare at charts all day, to sit there and do that, 5, 6, 7 days a week and do all these reactions to the markets all the time. I like bigger cycle moves, bigger time frame moves, and that's playing the whole market for me. And so I look at all these different things and I accumulate a lot during the bear market. I'm still accumulating some positions, but that time to buy more broadly is starting to run out. Once we cross into new highs for Bitcoin and Ethereum, your time to position yourself will largely have come to an end. Now, there's always opportunities. I want to make that clear. You're always going to have the ability to come in, okay, hot new coin just listed. Great. You can take that opportunity. Hey, hot new airdrop. Great. You can take that opportunity. But in terms of the risk reward buying, once Bitcoin and Ethereum have broken new highs, it diminishes significantly. Because let's say that Bitcoin's going to go to 150 or 200K. Well, you're looking at 100, 200% upside potential, which is great. We're not going to diminish that by any means. But it's not as great as you could have bought at 20K or 30K, for example. So the risk reward starts diminishing the higher the price goes. And actually, that's when we need to update our thinking and start flipping over to, okay, now it's not buying time anymore. Now it's time to ride, and then eventually start thinking about selling, laddering out of positions so that we're maximizing our ability to take in money from the market. Another thing that I'm really focusing a lot of energy on right now, airdrop farming. Now, I know airdrop farming is not always fair. It unjustly, perhaps, or unfairly, we can say, benefits whales and benefits, influencers who can share the referral links. Okay, I get it. But it also is a massive opportunity for just regular people. I know so many regular people who just, they go in, they use applications, they do some of the things. And I try to share all this stuff all the time in our newsletter. We do weekly strategies on how to make money with airdrops. And we see regular people being able to make tens of thousands of dollars off these airdrops. And now airdrops sound crazy. It's like, what is that? Why are they giving away free money? You're testing software. If you look at it this way, you're a software tester with a possible reward in the future. Rewards are indeterminate. Maybe sometimes you get a great reward, happens once in a while. Most often you're going to get very little, and it's kind of like, why didn't I get more for that? I spent all this time testing their software for them. That's how the game is played. But airdrop farming is one of the biggest metas in 2024. And I think if you're an investor who has a bit of time on their hands and you don't have such a big portfolio, if you're ignoring this, you're crazy.
Yeah, sure. Look, completely agree. If we think of big narratives, Bitcoin DeFi, Bitcoin halving, deepen, Ethereum ETF, potentially airdrops. Those are some good ones. But Lark, look, we'll talk about those. Just want to speak to a great point you're talking about in terms of as soon as Bitcoin and Ethereum hit their all-time highs, and look, we're actually not that far away from that potentially happening. And then you're talking about the risk reward is much reduced from there. It's much harder to make money if you're coming into the market fresh, if you're not already positioned. Unfortunately, Lark, as you'll be only too well aware, this is when the next big wave of retail investors will arrive. After Bitcoin and Ethereum hit those all-time highs, that's when we will get these fresh new investors. Hopefully fresh capital will start flooding into the market as well. And a lot of these people will start to look to people such as yourself, because they join Twitter, they jump into Reddit and Discord, and they look for people with high profile, and they start to follow them. It's a tough one. What do you say to those people that do come into the market for the first time, potentially later this year, around the halving, around those all-time highs, and they've got money, they see Bitcoin as a way to make money, they see the altcoin opportunity. What's their best strategy? It's a tough one.
It is a tough one. And I think there's going to have to be some tough love this market cycle. I think last market cycle I was a bit more just whatever, it's all good. This time, I really want to have that conversation with people that, look, if you're buying Bitcoin at 150, 200K, I'm sorry, but your exit liquidity, you're going to lose money, likely. Long term, I mean, okay, sure. Hey, look, if you're buying today and you're saying, I want to hold this for 10 years, well, in 10 years, you'll be in profits. That'll be fine. Likely, not financial advice. But it's not the best time to be buying. And that's a hard thing for people to hear. And the unfortunate reality is, I know from experience, when I tell people I'm selling my crypto, or when I say now's not a great time to buy, no one's going to want to hear it. Or very few people are going to want to hear it. Let's put it that way. The unfortunate reality of market psychology, and if you're listening to this, I really, really want you to understand this, because it's so important, because you're your own worst enemy. The reality of market psychology is people want to invest when everybody's winning, and nobody wants to invest when everybody's losing. And yet the inverse is absolutely true. The time of greatest risk is the time of greatest greed. And the time of greatest opportunity is the time of greatest fear. So everybody coming into the market after Bitcoin crosses over $70,000, here's the reality. I would say buying up to about $100,000 to $120,000, you're still going to make money if you sell at some point, or if you're taking like a 10-year time frame, okay? If you're getting into altcoins that have just gone 1,000% in the last week, you're probably going to lose money. If you are trying to make money at that stage in the market, let's say it's 2025 or late 2024, just buying the top coins at that point, there will still be money to be made, but not very much. So if you're hopping into Solana at $500, for example, yeah, you'll still be able to make some money off that, but you're probably going to come in and think, oh, great, everything's winning. This is the super cycle. Everything's going to go up forever. I'm going to 100x my money on this. It's not going to happen. You might get 50%, 100% more out of it at that point. So you have to have realistic expectations about where you are in the market cycle. And I would say that if you're new, if you end up to listen to this podcast in 2025 at some point, it comes across your desk, or you're listening to it now and you want a reminder about this, Look at market cycles. Look at market cycles and really, really, really understand them. Go find that Wall Street cheat sheet, the market investor psychology cheat sheet, and look at the charts and then ask yourself where you are. Be serious with yourself. It's your money. It's your money. Don't go out doing something dumb, buying all the tops and then selling all the bottoms. The unfortunate thing is most people buy high and sell low. They don't buy low and sell high, which is how you win. So if you're coming late into the market, you have less opportunities, you have more risk, and you have to be more careful and discerning about where you're putting your money in the market. Unfortunately, most people won't be. They'll just throw it into everything and hope it goes up. And for a short time, you'll feel like a genius because things will be going up until they don't. And then they start going down. And then you start bargaining with yourself. All prices are going to go back up. This is just a cool off. Just have to wait a little bit. And then before you know it, you're down 90%. So you have to keep this in mind. You have to keep in mind how the cycles work, where you are entering in the cycle, which is probably one of the last things you want to do when everything's hot and you just want to have an influencer tell you what coin to buy. That's not exactly how it works. Now, there's still opportunities. Final point here. There are still definitely opportunities, okay? Even when the market's super hot, there will still be hot new coins coming out that are going to do crazy gains. There's still going to be great airdrops to farm. But if we look at just broad market generality, the risk is massively increased and it's generally not the best time to be putting a bunch of fresh money into the market.
Yes, indeed. Could not agree more. Unfortunately, you're right, Lark. You know, it is a story as old as time. The psychology of markets is just a really tricky one for humans to understand. And yeah, it is what it is. Look, narratives, Lark. Love to understand some of your thinking around what are some of the, potentially most interesting, the hottest, or the most lucrative, or even the most slept on narratives that you see potentially unfolding for the cycle ahead.
I feel like we're spoiled right now for narratives because unlike previous cycles, I feel like narratives really are going to have a lot more sticking power this time. Almost everything we talk about, decentralized physical infrastructure networks, I was covering those back in 2017, it was just too early. We didn't have enough crypto users. Crypto wasn't looked at as winning enough yet. 2021, we had those too, but again, it's too early for a lot of this stuff. Now we're starting to see these sorts of things, decentralized GPU networks or AI cloud stuff, whatever it might be, really starting to take off. My favorite narratives, though, blockchains, decentralized finance, and gaming. Now, blockchains, it's an interesting one. And we'll talk about layer twos here as well, things like ZK Sync and Linea and Scroll, which are all doing airdrops and are all going to potentially be high value airdrops. This is a very big, interesting space to watch, and it's huge competition. But historically, we've seen layer one blockchains, or now layer two blockchains, essentially, do very, very well in the market. Look back at some of the biggest winners from 2021, the biggest winners from 2017. And yeah, individual applications built on chains will have crazy, crazy gains too. But you look back and you see like Solana, for example, had 200x gains or something in the previous market cycle. A lot of newer, hotter blockchains can have that potential this cycle as well. So I focus a lot of my time and energy on actually the major infrastructure pieces of the crypto space because they're the major infrastructure pieces. You can't have everything without this. And there's always this new competition for the hottest, fastest, best blockchain. And that final decision has not been made by the market yet. We're still very early in terms of the software aspect of this marketplace. The other one, DeFi, decentralized finance. Now, this money Lego stuff is pretty crazy, and it's a bit Inception. You take this and you put it there, and then you take what you get from that. And you put it's a bit crazy sometimes, but I think there's a huge opportunity because it's money. Borrowing markets, lending markets, stuff like this. It's very high potential. So I focus quite a bit of energy there playing around with that game. Not huge amounts. I think DeFi is not quite as big of a trend right now as it was back in 2020, for example. And the one place that I've been placing my most bets is gaming. I've been investing very heavily across the venture space in gaming, and there's just so many incredible games coming up. It's absolutely just blowing my mind. And I've been covering crypto gaming since 2017, by the way. We've been doing crypto games, playing crypto games, screwing around with all that kind of stuff for years now. And finally, I am seeing games coming out that are going to knock people's socks off, not because they're crypto games, but in spite of the fact that they're crypto games. That's the key difference, because if you have a crap game, nobody's going to play it, or very, very few people are going to play it just because you get a token reward or there's some NFT involved with it. But if you have a really, really good game that also happens to have token rewards and NFTs, that is the key difference. And we see a lot of games coming out. I'm approaching this in two ways. I'm investing in some individual games which I think have very high potential. Those are riskier plays because in order for a game to get really successful, you need hundreds of thousands, ideally millions of users. And there's some that could fit that bill, like Off the Grid, which is one of our private round investor in. These guys are getting on Xbox, first crypto game on Xbox. Big potential there, right? But I'm also investing quite a bit in sort of the more gaming infrastructure side of things. For example, I've got a large investment in Beam, which is an Avalanche subnet. Basically, they're a gaming incubator. They're incubating their own games. They're bringing them into their own infrastructure, which is the Beam Avalanche subnet. So they have everything built and ready for games to come and build on top of them. And so there's a few like that as well. Others that I'm not invested in are very interesting to look at. For example, Immutable X or Scale. We have lots of great ones out there that are doing this sort of infrastructure play on gaming, or you can go for the individual games. So those are the big narratives I'm watching. There's lots of other great narratives, real world assets, deep in AI, et cetera, et cetera. But I only have so much time and money, guys. So that's why I try to focus my energy on.
Yep. Okay. I like it. And look, I think a lot of people agree that, crypto gaming will have its moment in the sun this cycle. And of course, sometimes, the narratives are one cycle ahead of maturity. And it feels like, that could be the case with crypto gaming. But Bitcoin, Lark, obviously Bitcoin is the big daddy, the big asset. We've got the Bitcoin ETFs. Bitcoin leads the cycle. Just love to understand how you think about what is happening in terms of that. It does look like we are getting that institutional investment into Bitcoin in a big way. The Bitcoin ETFs have surprised most people, actually, because the flows are steady. They seem to be increasing. If not anything, surely they'll fall off a little bit at some point. But yeah, how are you thinking about Bitcoin and what's happening there?
Right now, this is a big moment for crypto. This is a once in a market liquidity event, and I hope people really understand what that means, because BlackRock, Fidelity, this is essentially an infinite bid from these companies. The money they represent is so big, so impactful. It's really hard to fully comprehend for the average person how big it is. And of course, the Bitcoin ETFs have broken all records. Again, every Bitcoin ETF product that's come out, this is for spot one, of course, but we've had others in the past, have broken all records. And so there's huge demand right now for these Bitcoin products, and it's fantastic to see. And what's interesting is that right now we are seeing just this huge demand from these Bitcoin ETF products. Demand so strong that on average over the last week or two, we have seen Bitcoin ETF inflows exceed the amount of Bitcoin produced by miners by almost 10x every single day. So miners produce 900 Bitcoin a day. They're gobbling up 9,000 Bitcoin a day. Bitcoin halvings in 2 months is going to drop down to 450 from the current 900. The numbers just for Bitcoin ETFs are absolutely insane. But then you have to remember the Bitcoin ETF is just one piece of a huge equation of demand for Bitcoin right now. We have Hong Kong Bitcoin ETFs coming soon. So that means Chinese money can come into the market. We have Korean Bitcoin ETFs likely coming potentially maybe later this year or something. They're meeting with the US SEC about how to launch Bitcoin ETFs in Korea. That's going to be a big story. Korean markets are absolutely crazy for crypto. We have already these products listed in Canada and Brazil and stuff like that. So the inroads, the on-ramps are everywhere. And that's just for ETF products. Then we have to consider just the natural demand from retail investors and from whales. I saw today somebody pulled 18,000 Bitcoin out of Coin. Sorry, so I got muted there.
Yeah,
You okay?
sorry. Yep, I'm okay. Please continue,
Okay.
Lark.
Okay.
Apologies.
That's okay. So we're talking crazy numbers here from retail and all this stuff. And we're seeing all these little stories that kind of, if we'd had them back in 2017, would be very big, impactful stories. We have like a rideshare app in Brazil that's implemented a Bitcoin wallet and lets people buy and sell Bitcoin through the wallets. Similar story out of Southeast Asia. We have all these different banks, big banks that are now offering Bitcoin trading and custody to their customers. Like, the Bitcoin ETF's the biggest part of the story, but everything else together paints a very wild picture for the potential demand for Bitcoin. This is our big liquidity moment for the markets. And I hope people understand what that really means long term. But one final note here. Just because BlackRock and Fidelity, because we're seeing huge inflows right now for the Bitcoin products, you understand these people can also sell at some point. This is not a black hole. This is not locked up forever. They're buying Bitcoin right now because they know it's going to go a lot higher. And they don't have to have 100x gains out of it. They're not necessarily going to hold it there for 20 or 30 years. These guys at 150, 200K are going to be selling. And right now, the big story has been, hey, look at all the money flowing into BlackRock Bitcoin ETFs. And in 2025, guess what the big story is going to be? Hey, look at all the money flowing out of BlackRock Bitcoin ETFs. Okay? That's when the time in the market's probably getting near an end. Smart money will know when to get out.
Yeah, yes, indeed. I'm sure that is the case. So, yeah, well, we'll just have to wait and see whether that happens. Later this year, next year, the year after. I don't know, but of course, the tide will turn. It always does. This time is unlikely to be different. It's just a matter of how high and how fast, how hot the market can get. Let's switch gears a little bit, Lark, as we start to finish off this part of the podcast. Love to understand just any thoughts you have. I mean, this stuff is really hard to predict, but where do you see the whole content creation slash influencer slash podcaster type gig going? I'm not talking specifically for you, but you will have seen, the rise of all the different AI bits and pieces. Sora from Open AI this week, just with suddenly really 4K-ish text to video. We will soon be able to create. You'll be able to create an AI version of yourself who could potentially run your podcast for you and just talk to people all day, every day, never get tired. You wouldn't have to be on camera yourself. What do you think of these kind of ideas, these kind of timelines? What is the timeline for this? Is that a good or a bad thing? Is it dystopian? Apple Vision Pro, where does that play into it? It's an interesting time to be a content creator, Mark.
It absolutely is, because a lot of content creators will get replaced by AI in the long term. And any content creator right now who's not using AI is definitely going to be behind the curve in some way or another. We use AI in all sorts of different ways in our business right now, and even just basic stuff for images and doing text for our shorts and stuff like that. Really simple stuff that saves a lot of time. Long term, will I replace myself with an AI? Maybe, but the tech is far from being there yet in terms of quality of voice. AIs tend to be quite monotone in voice, for example. They don't get a lot of great inflection in their voice. So we have a lot of things to overcome. And I imagine there will be very hard differences to even tell what an AI is at some point, but I imagine that there will be a premium for content creators who are real humans. There will be definitely a very strong niche for I want to see what a human has to say versus what the computer has to say, or the person behind the computer has to say. And we're going to see fully automated YouTube channels that write scripts using AI, have AI avatars, AI text to video editing. The only human involved will be the guy who puts the prompts in the back, and eventually that'll probably be replaced by a computer too, just somebody sitting back there collecting money for what the computers are doing. And so that's an interesting equation for how we look at content in the future, because it creates a lot of problems. It also creates a lot of opportunities. Opportunities, obviously, better videos, more information, more faster information, the ability to explain ideas with very, very great precision and fantastic visuals. People can really understand these concepts. The flip side, of course, is huge amounts of scamming. We're already seeing this with AI avatars of like Michael Saylor, which run on a lot of videos on YouTube, where he's saying, hey, just send me 1 Bitcoin. I'm going to send you back 2 because we're having a big celebration over here. Guys, Michael Saylor's not giving any Bitcoin away. That's just definitely not the case. If you know anything about Michael Saylor, he's not going to send you some Bitcoin, guys. He's holding, man. He's holding. But unfortunately, this is catching people. And these scams have been there for a long time, but now they're getting better, and they're only going to keep getting better. And we're seeing all kinds of crazy social engineering stuff. So just beyond crypto, a warning for everybody: you have got to be so careful, because it's going to get really scary out there. I saw, for example, a story of a guy whose dad called him, said, hey, I've had a car accident. I'm in the hospital. I need you to send some money over. And that guy who's got the phone call just said, you know what, I'm just to be safe, I'm going to call my dad back. And he called his dad back, and his dad said, no, I haven't been in a car accident or anything like that. And so the AI had found a way to copy his, I guess his dad was some public personality, whatever it might be, to copy his dad's voice. And they created this situation trying to scam this person out of money. That's going to become a lot more common. So it's a scary, it's a brave new world for our brave new coins.
It is a brave new world indeed. And look at, yeah, you're exactly right. Man, I remember like coming into crypto, in 2017, and I remember seeing this website, and it said something to the effect of, send 1 ETH to us, and we'll do some special algorithmic magic, and we'll send you 2 ETH back. And of course, it's the oldest scam in the book. But when you first come into crypto and you don't quite understand how these things work, if you do come across these websites, it's very hard to understand if something is legit or not. And eventually you learn that almost nothing is legit. But kind of getting to that point is tricky, and it's just the journey that people have to undertake, and hopefully they have someone they trust that they can go to, which is what I did. I just said this website to a friend, and I said, "What is this? Is this legit?" And he said, "No, it's not legit." And then you kind of understand from there, but it's a journey people have to go through. Just like as we finish off this part of the podcast, please shout out your various websites, your services, your newsletters, how they work. I don't know, the wealth mastery group that you have, what's involved, and who is this for? All that kind of stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. So I mean, obviously, everybody come find me on YouTube, come find me on X. Posting all kinds of content over there all the time, hopefully providing a lot of value for people. And definitely check out the newsletter. You can go to thewealthmastery.io, and it's a free newsletter read by 100,000 plus people a week. And basically what we do with that newsletter is we try to provide as much alpha as we can for investors. So obviously we're covering the news. We also cover airdrop alpha, altcoin alpha, deep dive reports on altcoins, technical analysis, all this kind of stuff. So there's a bit of something there for everybody. If you're an absolute beginner, we've got you covered. A lot of the information is very beginner friendly. And we also have some more advanced things there, whether it be technical analysis or some of our more in-depth tutorials for DeFi and stuff like that. But we try to make sure everything's accessible for new people coming to the market, because we understand there are so many new people. Even people who've been around for a while, there's so many new things happening that's hard to stay up to date with all the stuff going on all the time. So it's definitely a newbie-friendly newsletter. So check it out. We're sending it out 3 times a week with lots of information every single issue.
Awesome. And I'll put a link. Link is in the show notes, folks. I think what we'll do now is we'll go to a very quick break, and then we'll come back. We'll have some fun. We'll finish off by running Lark through the very famous crypto conversation hot take round. Back in 1 second. And boom, we are back, and I'm with Lark Davis, one of crypto Twitter's leading, notorious, I don't know, crypto influencer. Let's just say that anyone with 1 million followers on crypto Twitter, it's doing well. Look, Lark, I like to finish each podcast with a quick round of rapid fire crypto conversation hot takes. Are you up for it?
Let's do it.
Let's do it, Lark. Just going to run some questions at you. Just give me your kind of honest answers, hot take style. Question 1 for you. Like, where would you say that you sit on the Bitcoin maximalist to multi-chain opportunist spectrum?
Bitcoin maximalism is a failed ideology. Bitcoin's great. I love Bitcoin, but if you've been Bitcoin only, you've taken lower risk, but you've missed out on huge opportunities. The innovation right now primarily is happening outside of Bitcoin. We have BRC20 tokens, which are bringing new innovation back into Bitcoin, which a lot of conservative developers are pissed off about, ironically. But I think the biggest opportunity for investors in this space has been and will continue to be altcoins. Bitcoin, though, by the way, #1 portfolio holding for me. So I'm a big believer in Bitcoin, but I realize the big money is made outside of Bitcoin these days.
Yeah, very well said. Thank you, Lark. What would you say then is your firmest conviction crypto opinion?
That if you don't take your profits, the market's going to take them for you. You'll either sell or you will hold your bags down 90%. You will either get to sail away with your wife and your kids on your yacht in the Caribbean, or you'll get to sit with your bags that are down 99% in a Reddit group during the bear market, being a community member. The choice is yours.
Yeah, and the latter is no fun. We've all been there.
Nope.
Bill Gates famously said, Lark, that we tend to overestimate what we can accomplish in 2 years and underestimate what we can accomplish in 10. 10 years in blockchain is a very long time, but cast your mind forward, whatever you like, Web3, crypto gaming, what does it look like in 10 years' time?
We are right now on the cusp of a wild, wild cycle for crypto, not just the next year or two, which is going to be a great bull market. But when you really understand where the technology is going, we are talking about financial technology that's going to completely revolutionize the internet. Everything you can possibly imagine, your ownership, your money, everything's going to be running across blockchains online, your identity, all this sort of stuff. It is an integral layer of internet technology of ownership and value transfer. When you understand that, when you understand there's only 300-400 million users right now, we're going to have 3 or 4 billion users in the next 10 to 15 years. When you understand we're only a $2 trillion market cap, we're going to have a market cap worth 10, $20 trillion in 10 years. Huge implications. This technology is going to be so big, and it's on across a wide spectrum of narratives, not just, gaming. There's going to be games that blow everyone out of the water, and maybe crypto games. There's going to be the Uber of whatever built on the blockchain, Uber of GPUs, actual Uber, whatever it might be. We're going to see all kinds of new narratives coming out. We will probably see a social media platform that has a crypto native asset, runs on a blockchain, maybe not compete with Facebook or something like that, but maybe get 100 million users in the next 10 or 15 years. So big things are coming, and a lot of it's going to be happening on crypto. AI and crypto, if you want to make crazy money investing, those are the areas of focus on over the next 10 to 15 years, because we are on the cusp of some really big stuff.
Exponential times ahead, yes, indeed. All right, well, another way of thinking about this, Lark, is, it's a great quote from sci-fi author William Gibson, who, of course, said that the future is already here. It's just not evenly distributed. With that in mind, Lark, can you think of an example of the future being here right now, but most people aren't aware of it?
The Apple Vision Pro headsets. That's a pretty interesting one, because that is really something we've been thinking about futuristically for a long time. And now it's here. It's very expensive. Most people are going to buy it. It's clunky. It's funky. Fast forward 10 or 15 years, it'll just be a pair of sunglasses that you wear, and it'll be $50. Much like we saw with all technology, the prices drop very rapidly for stuff like this, and they become lighter and all these sorts of things. So that's going to be big, and it's scary implications. I'm not sure how I feel. I don't have one. I'm not sure how I feel about this. I'm not sure about the implications for my children growing up in a world where this is the stuff. I want to see my kids when I'm an adult. I don't want them to be plugged into the damn metaverse all the time. It's scary where we're going, but it's also very interesting and exciting.
Yeah, look, it is scary. And I've been having this debate with my son at the moment. He's 13 years old, and he's a Mark Zuckerberg fan, funnily enough. And so he wants a Quest, and he doesn't like the Apple Vision Pro. But I've been trying to say to him that, look, as long as you don't get generation 1 with a new Apple product, chances are they will lead the market. But yeah, I think you're exactly right. It's like let's get to the point where it is more like the Ray-Bans. You put the Ray-Bans on, and you can interact with the world seamlessly, and you don't need to shut the world out completely. And then we can just leave our phones in our pocket. I think that's hopefully where we're going. Look, this has been fun, Lark. I guess our final question, which is kind of related, but the final question for you, Lark, what is your favorite science fiction, a book, film, or TV show?
Oh, that's a good one. Favorite movie would be Blade Runner, but I want to mention my favorite book series, actually, which is the Dune series. Read all the books, even one that's written by his son. Super fascinating. I love that sort of sci-fi, futuristic, interplanetary species stuff. Very interesting, very cool. I love the Dune series. I love the way it was written, the deeper meaning behind it, the mythology of the world, the grandioseness of the battles and things that happen. And yeah, it was very, very fascinating book series. Probably my favorite sci-fi book series for sure. And I love the new movies, by the way. New movies are great. I haven't seen part 2, of course, not out here in New Zealand yet, but when it is, I'll watch it.
Yeah, it's coming very soon though, isn't it? Part 2.
That's
I
right.
don't know. Yeah, I've seen the trailers. Looks fantastic. Great choice. Shout out to June. All right. Well, look, hey, thank you so much, Lark. This was fun. close it out just by, again, telling people where they can find you on Twitter, X, and again, your website, etc.
Yep, just look for Lark Davis on X, the verified account. There's lots of scammers out there. Find me on YouTube and go to thewealthmastery.io to find our great weekly newsletter. Thank you very much for having me on. I appreciate it.
Awesome. Thank you, Lark. All the best, and bye for now. All right, there you go. That was Lark coming live and direct from New Zealand. Shout out to Lark. Thank you for coming on the show. Great to get Lark's thoughts on, I guess the market, new people coming into the market, Bitcoin ETFs, and some of the different narratives that potentially underpin this cycle, crypto gaming. All right. Well, thank you, folks, for listening or watching another episode. Do make sure you're subscribed to the podcast in whatever podcast app you are using. But that is it for today. Thank you, folks. This was the Crypto Conversation for Brave New Coin. See you.